Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Solid Solutions, where we motivate, encourage, and inspire. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you know someone who could benefit from this, and I hope you will also, please share it. Just share it out. Just share it out. I'm sure it can help somebody. So, how's everybody doing? So, today we're going to be doing a check in. So, it's been a little while since we've made our goals for the year. So, this is just a check in to see how everybody is doing. So, are you sticking to the plan? Have you fallen off? Have you run into any challenges that kind of, got you stuck or at a standstill? Was it just too hard and you just kind of just gave up on it? Well, it's okay. It's okay. Give yourself some grace. No judgment here. That's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to bring you some tips and some solid solutions that can possibly help you through and get you back on track and motivate you to continue if you are already on track. So before we get started with those tips, I want to give kudos to those who are sticking to the plan. Applause to you. Gold stars for you, 5 stars for you for sticking to the plan. And those of you that ran into some challenges that kind of, fell off a little bit, it's okay. Kudos to you too for taking the first step. At least you started. That is very important because that is the main thing to new change, is taking the first step. Yes, it's hard. Of course it's hard. Change is always hard, but at least you took the first step. So kudos to you too. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. So I have some insights that I hope will be helpful. So let's just get into it. So last time we came on, we talked about how to face it, fight it, forgive it, and move on from it. And we are going to touch base with those again today because I think those are very important steps when you are making any type of change. So this is going to be our motto for this session. The next session is going to be face it, fight it, forgive it, and move on from it. So I'm basically talking to those of you who have gotten off track, who have run into some challenges, who it just got too hard. First of all, what I want you to do is give yourself some grace. Okay. That is the main thing. And we'll talk about that as well also. So first thing you want to do is pinpoint where you got off track. Okay. Now, did you start and everything was going fine, and then, a bump in the road happened? Pinpoint where that bump in the road happened. Be specific in what that is. Now, you're probably going to need pen and paper, or if you like me, I use the notes option on my cell phone. You can do that too. But write this down so you can have it in front of you. Write these insights down so that when you run into obstacles again, and you probably will, then you have something to refer back to. Okay? So be specific in where you went off track. And then ask yourself the hard questions. Why did I go off track? Why did this trigger me? Why did this specific thing have an impact on where I'm at in the plan that I have set for myself, in the goals that I have set for myself? Why was this the thing that triggered me to stop, or that caused a challenge, or that made me fall off? So be specific and be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. That's the only way that this is going to work, is that you be honest with yourself. Could it have been avoided? Is this some old temptation that came up or that got in the way of your plan or your path, and you just kind of just went back into your old ways? Could this have been avoided? Again, be honest with yourself. Could you have been more dedicated in making this work? How much time did you put into it? How much effort did you put into it? And not only that, but were you even ready? Because if you weren't ready, then this absolutely is not going to work. You're not going to meet your goals. You're not going to stick to the plan if you're not ready. Okay? Was it too hard? You know, did you feel that you wouldn't succeed in making the goal? So why should I try anyway? Or I don't feel like I'm going to make it, so I'm just going to stop. So when you get to feeling that way, when you start feeling that way, that means that you're doing good. That means you're doing okay. That means just it's baby steps. You're not going to meet your goals or make the change overnight. It didn't take you overnight to get to where you are, and it's not going to take overnight to get you to a better place or a different place. So again, it's baby steps. When you start to feel like, why should I do this? I'm not going to make it. Just take a breath and then put one foot in front of the other and take a baby step. Those baby steps matter. Any effort on your part matters. So don't give up. Just push through. We are made to push through. Okay? So that's part of the facing it. The facing it is you want to pinpoint what caused you to fall off. Ask yourself the hard questions and be honest with yourself. Those are the two main points of facing it. Okay, so let's move on to, okay, now you've faced it. Now you've pinpointed what it was that got you off track. So now it's time to fight it. Okay, well, how do I fight it? Okay, well, this is how you fight it. What is it? That thing that caused you to get off track, is that something that you can remove from your life that can help you get past it and get back on track? Is this something that you need to resist? Again, so if it's something that you can get past, if it's something that you can resist, find a way to do that. Is it a bad habit? Is it a toxic relationship? Is it your work environment? Is it negative thoughts or a negative mindset? Is this something you can resist? Is this something you can remove? Is this something that you can change your way of thinking about it that helps you get past it? You have got to find out how to resist this thing and how to remove this thing so that you can get back on track and meet your goals. Okay? What can you do differently next time? Apparently, whatever this was triggered you to stop. On your way to your goal and you ran into this thing or this thing ran into you, this speed bump, what could you have done differently that would not cause you to stop or get off track? What could you have done differently that could have helped you keep going? So let's think about that, because again, these roadblocks are going to come up. So you got to figure out what can you do differently than you did this last time to help you push through. Excuse me. So here are some things you can try that might help you respond differently or react differently. Prayer. Prayer can give you peace of mind, strength, and stillness. Be clear. Be very clear on what steps are needed to achieve your goals. You have goals. Did you make the steps to help you reach those goals? So it's easy to say, I'm just going to pull something out of the air. It's easy to say, I want to stop smoking. Okay, how do you intend on doing that? What steps do you plan on taking to do that? You want to eat healthier. It's easy to say, oh, well, I want to eat healthier. What steps or modifications are you going to do to achieve that goal? So just saying it is not enough. You have to have a plan in place to even take the first step. And that's why it is so important to write it down. Very important to write it down. Meditating is good. Just be still. And when I say meditating, I'm not talking about transcendental and coming out of your body and all that kind of stuff. I'm not talking about that. And if that's what you do, then that's what you do. But what I'm talking about is meditating on your goal and seeing yourself reaching that goal, seeing yourself take the steps that you have written down, that you have written down, and see yourself taking each step until you see yourself reaching that goal. That's the kind of meditating that I'm talking about. See it. See yourself doing it. See yourself taking the action steps, seeing yourself actually reaching the goal and how you will feel when you reach that goal. Exercise is very important. Exercise clears the mind. It releases endorphins that makes you feel good about yourself. When you feel good about yourself, it actually motivates you and inspires you and encourages you to continue with your plan, to continue with the steps that you're taking to reach your goal. Journaling, that's another good one. Write down how you feel about where you are. Write it down. Write down your goal. Write down the steps it takes to get to those goals. Write down each step that you take. Write down how it felt. What did you do? How did you get to the next step? Journaling is very important also. Affirmations. Write yourself out some affirmations about yourself. If you can't think of any affirmations, Google it. The internet is full of affirmations. Just any subject that you want. So these are some things to help you fight those obstacles that are sure to show up. Okay? So we faced it. We've got tools to fight it. So now we're going to talk about how to forgive it. And I know I say forgive it, but it could be forgive it or forgive them or forgive yourself, whatever that looks like, whatever that is for you, whatever that looks like for you. So you're going to forgive it and you're going to forgive yourself also. And forgiving it means that you are going to release it. You're going to let it go. It's over and done with. You cannot go back and change it. Whatever it is, you can't go back and change it. Stop reliving it. It happened. It's done. It's over. Let it go so that you can look forward and get back on track, get back into the step where you fell off and move forward. Okay? Don't beat yourself up. It happened. Don't beat yourself up. And please don't beat up the other person if it's a person. Give yourself some grace. It's okay. It's okay. You are allowed to fail along the way. You are allowed to fall along the way. You are allowed to face challenges along the way and not know what to do. Okay? Just pick yourself up and start again. Pick yourself up and start again. It's okay to fall, but don't stay there. Don't stay there and then just give up. I knew this wasn't going to work. I can't. I'm just not going to do this. That's when you need to be at your strongest. It's easy while you're making the changes and you're going along your path to get to your goal and everything is going fine. But when you run into the challenges, that's when it's really time to step up. If you fall, get up and step up. Okay? In time, it'll get easier. In time, it'll get easier. This is something that I tell myself, and, do what you will with it. But when something is hard for me, when something is really hard for me, and I feel like I want to give up, I say this to myself, if I cannot get through this thing, how am I going to get through the next? Because we all have battles to fight. We are all fighting something. We are all dealing with something. And whatever it is you are dealing with, this is not going to be the last thing. Like my grandma used to say, keep on living. Because there's going to be something else that's going to come up after this. We don't know when, we don't know what, we don't know how. But we have challenges that come up in our lives. You can bet on it. Nobody lives this life without having to fight challenges. So I tell myself, if I cannot get through this, how am I going to get through the next thing? And remember, when you get through this, you come out stronger. And that doesn't mean that the next thing that comes up, is going to be harder than this. But it does mean that when the next thing comes up, you have the strength from this and all the other battles that you fought and come through to help you fight the next thing. So it's very important. This is why it is so important not to give up. We don't have the option to give up. Now, you can sit there and wallow in self-pity and self-loathing and woe is me and have all these pity parties. You can do that as long as you want to. I don't recommend it. But some people, they fall and they just sit there. And then they want you to sit there with them and have these, and get you involved in what they have going on when you're trying to fight your own battles. So you can sit there as long as you want, but eventually you are going to have to get up. You're going to have to get up. So why not, when you fall, get on up? Find out how to face this thing, fight this thing, forgive it, and then move on from it. You got to move on from it. Don't stay in a place of guilt and regret. Why would you do that? Everybody else has moved on with their lives. Everybody is smiling and laughing and having a good time. And you are stuck in guilt and regret. For what? And if anybody is making you feel guilty and making you feel full of regret, you need to have a conversation with yourself so that you can tell them that that's not working anymore. You need to change the conversation you're having with me because that's not working anymore. Otherwise, we can't conversate no more. You stay in guilt and regret for long enough, and it's going to make you sick. It is going to start causing diseases in your body. It's going to start causing anxiety, depression. While this person has moved on with their life, or this thing doesn't exist anymore, whatever it was is over and done with. It's not happening anymore. It's over and done with, but you're still stuck. And the world does not stop because you are stuck in guilt and regret. The world keeps moving. The beat goes on. So you got to get up and move with it. Forgive yourself. Release the guilt. Release the regret. Then you want to figure out, what is your next move? What's next? Find out where you fell off, and then find out from there, what is your next move? That's where you want to start, is where you fell off at. What's your next move? Then take the necessary steps. again to start moving towards your goal. Baby steps. Baby steps. You know, you and a friend or a loved one, family member, or whatever, may have sat down and said, you know, hey, let's share our goals for the new year. And you've done that. That person may be way farther along in their goals than you are. And you feel like, why am I still here and they have progressed further than me? First of all, don't worry about that, because their goals might not be your goals. And even if y'all have the same goals, you're two different people. You don't move in the same way. Congratulate that person. If they're sticking to the plan and they're doing just fine, congratulate that person. Great, that's good for them. But don't feel guilty that you're not at the same pace that they are. You take your time. You do what's best for you. You congratulate them, and then you congratulate yourself for any small victories that you have. If you made it past your first step, congratulate yourself. Even if you started and fell off, congratulate yourself because you started. You took a step. Somebody is not going to always be there to pat you on the back and give you 5 stars. You have to do that for yourself. And if you keep that mindset, if you keep the mindset of, I will congratulate myself, I will celebrate my baby steps, then if somebody else doesn't do it, it doesn't bother you. Because honestly, when you do it for yourself, you feel a lot better than when somebody else is doing it. Because when you do it for yourself, it's genuine. You know what you've been through to get through this step. You can only tell them. And they don't really know because they're not you. They can't feel what you felt as you were taking these steps. You know how you felt taking these steps. You know how hard it was. You know how you wanted to give up and quit. You know the challenges that you faced. So you celebrate yourself, whatever that looks like. Celebrate yourself. So that's the moving on from it. Don't stay in the place of guilt and regret. Figure out your next move and then take the necessary steps. Very important here. And this piggybacks off of what I just said. Do not look at what someone else is doing. That's very, very important. You celebrate them and you celebrate yourself. No matter where you're at in the journey to the goal or where you're at in your plan. Stay focused on what your goals are. Stay focused on that. When it comes to your goals, have tunnel vision. Don't look to the left. Don't look to the right. Stay focused. Remember why you are doing this. Remember your purpose for doing this. Why are you doing this? And that's another thing. When challenges come up or roadblocks come up, ask yourself, and you feel like you want to just quit, ask yourself, why did I decide to do this in the first place? Why did I decide to do this in the first place? So, side story. I used to smoke cigarettes. And I was smoking like 2 packs a day. And I started having chest pains. And I was like in my early 20s. Okay. And I started having chest pains and just was not feeling my best. But I was addicted to smoking cigarettes. And I had tried to quit and couldn't. And so I decided, I just finally made the decision, because when I tried to quit, you have the nicotine attacks and, you just don't feel good. You have all these different symptoms of withdrawal because you're trying to quit. Well, that felt worse than smoking. And that is why I was not successful when I tried to stop. So it got to the point where, again, I was having chest pain, smoking 2 packs a day. I was waking up smoking, going to sleep smoking, smoking in between, smoking in the rain, smoking in the cold. It didn't matter. I was smoking. So it came to a point where I said, you know what? I am 20 some years old and I'm having chest pains. That was scary to me. And I said, I am going to quit. No matter what it takes, I am going to quit. And so I quit. And I remember I had a nicotine attack and I was on the floor balled up and I was going through withdrawal from the nicotine. And it was so traumatic for me, but I refused to smoke a cigarette. I just refused. I refused. So I got past that, went through some other withdrawal symptoms, and it got to the point where I went a week without smoking. But the urge was still there, stronger than ever. It was still there. And if I was around somebody who opened up a fresh pack of cigarettes, oh my gosh, I wanted a cigarette. Just give me the pack and just let me. It just smelled so good to me. But anyway, but I didn't. And what kept me from smoking, one of the things that kept me from smoking was I had to tell myself, you have gone 5 days without smoking. If you smoke one cigarette, because you tell yourself just one. Oh, I could smoke just one. Well, when you're an addict, you smoke. When you're addicted to cigarettes, you can't smoke just one. When you're addicted to drugs, you can't do just one. If you're an alcoholic, you can't have just one drink. So I told myself, it's been 5 days since I had a cigarette. If I smoke one cigarette, that means I have to start all over again day one. That means I would have to start all over again to stop smoking at day one when I'm already at day 5. And I refused to do that because it was just too hard. So instead of it being because I didn't want to go through the withdrawal, that's what kept me smoking. It got to the point where that was reversed, and to stop smoking was more important than going through the withdrawal. And that is one of the things that stops a lot of people from breaking addictions, is that they've tried, they know how hard it is because they know what that withdrawal feels like. It is awful. It is horrible. It is traumatic. And people who wants to go through that? So it's just easier to just keep up the addiction. But once you decide that withdrawal, that stopping is more important than the withdrawal that goes along with it, then you're ready. Then you are ready. And that goes for anything in your life. Once the change becomes more important than the side effects or the withdrawal or the letting go, once the change becomes more important than that, then you're ready. You're ready. So again, remember why you're doing this. Keep the plan handy to refer back to when you need it. That's why it's so important to write it down. Write everything down. Keep your eyes on the end goal, whatever that looks like for you. Keep your eyes on the end goal. What is it going to look like when I get there? Am I going to be 20 pounds lighter? Am I going to be a non-smoker? Am I going to be a non-drinker? Am I going to be a non-drug user? Am I going to be free from that relationship? Am I going to be in a better job with a better work environment? What does that end goal look like to you? Keep your eyes on that. So what happens if the plan doesn't work? What happens if you wrote all your steps down and you're working your plan and it just doesn't work? Well, you make a new plan. You make a new plan. You don't want to stick to what's not working. We're already doing that. That's why we are making a change. And that's why we have these new goals, because what we're currently doing is not working. So if the plan doesn't work, make a new plan. Make a new plan. Your plan to get to your goal does not have to be set in stone. It can be modified. It can be changed. You can add some things. You can take some things away. The things that don't work, remove it. Put something that does work. Find out what works and put that in its place. It's got to be something that is going to work for you. Make sure that you do not draw up a plan that is not doable for you. You're definitely not going to succeed. If that's the case, it has to be something that is going to work for you. And that is another reason why you can't look at what somebody else is doing, because their plan, whatever their plan is working for them, but your plan is different. Your steps are different. So do what works for you. Again, I'm going to say this again, move in baby steps and not try to do too much all at once. A little at a time. Small successes are very, very important. Right? For instance, if you're trying to give up meat and you're a meat lover and you eat meat every day, 3 meals a day, you got meat and you want to give up meat. Don't just give up meat cold turkey if that's not going to work for you. Give up meat do 2, instead of 3 meals a day eating meat, do 2 meals until you can get down to 1 meal, until you can get down to none. Just do what works for you. Move at your own pace until you reach your goal. We said that earlier. Move at your own pace. Don't look at what somebody else is doing. Move at your own pace. The only pressure is the pressure you put on yourself. If you make a plan and it's what works for you and you are moving at your own pace, there should be no pressure. You got your baby steps, you're flowing along, there should be no pressure. Take your time, you will get there. Take your time, you will get there. Okay? So to sum everything up, my solid solutions for you today are this. Number 1, pinpoint what happened. Face it, fight it, forgive it, move on. Number 2, do not look at what someone else is doing and falsely judge yourself for not doing the same. Number 3, give yourself some grace if you fall. Get back up, face it, fight it, forgive it, and move on. Number 4, stay focused on your goals. Stay focused on your goals, not somebody else's. Stay focused on your goals. Number 5, create a new plan if necessary. Remember, if your plan is not working, create a new plan. It's okay. It's okay. And number 6, go at your own pace and take your time. You will get there. So again, thank you for joining me for another episode of Solid Solutions, where we motivate, encourage, and inspire. I really hope this helped. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you next time.